How many people here have had me come out and do a home security survey? Anybody here? Okay. When I do those, one of the first things that I'll look at when I start looking at the house is I'll look at the door jamb and I'll look at the strike plate. This is really, really important. Most strike plates that come, standard strike plates that come with, deadbolt locks are an inch and a half long. They're usually held in place with a couple of inch and a half screws, okay? When someone tries to kick open that door, all the force gets transferred to a very small area on that door jamb, and that's why that door jamb splits open. What a heavy duty or a high security strike plate does, first of all, it's going to be 6 inches long. It's going to be at least 6 inches long. It's going to be held in place with 6 3-inch screws, okay? Those screws do two things. One is they transfer the force of that kick into the 2x4 studs that frame the door, and not just the trim on the door jamb. And also, they spread that force out over a larger area, which reduces the amount of force per square inch, making it much more difficult to kick open a door. A standard strike plate, a door in a wooden frame with a standard strike plate, a person in fairly decent condition can kick open a door like that in 1 or 2 blows. It only takes a second. It's very, very easy to do. With a high security strike plate like this, much more difficult. He's going to bang and bang and bang and bang on that door. And after half a dozen or 10 tries, he's going to give up because he's taken too much time and he's made too much noise. And he's exposed himself to far more risk than he wants to. Okay, so that's a really important thing. And 9 out of 10 homes that I go to do not have adequate strike plates on their door jambs. Fortunately, it's an easy fix. They're like 15 bucks at the hardware store, and they're relatively easy to install in most cases. Now, some applications are a little more complicated than others, but in most cases, it's a relatively easy fix. Doors that have glass within 40 inches, a window in the door or side lights next to the door also require special consideration. Remember I said that one of the most common ways of breaking into a house was to break the glass in the door and reach in and unlock the door. There are several different ways to address that. One is you can actually get shatter-resistant window film. I think 3M makes a product you can use. That's going to make it harder to break that glass. Even if he breaks the glass, it's going to hang together. You can put bars over the windows that are spaced close enough that even if he breaks the glass, he can't reach inside. You could replace the door with one that didn't have a window in it. Or you can use a double-cylinder deadbolt lock. And I'll talk about those in a couple minutes in a little more detail. Sliding glass doors and windows, I'd already talked about those a bit. They can be forced open. This is one suggestion they have here, which I like, is to put some surface bolts on the door, so that in addition to whatever locking mechanism you have here, you've got a bolt up here and a bolt down there. Again, easy to install, inexpensive. That's going to help secure that door. Using a filler strip down here, a broomstick or something like that in the bottom track to prevent someone from sliding the door open from the outside. That's another thing that you can do to help make them a little more secure. French doors are difficult to deal with from a burglary prevention point of view. They're just kind of inherently vulnerable. Again, a lot of glass, okay? That's kind of what they're all about. A lot of glass, break the glass, reach in, unlock it. French doors, I would really strongly suggest using a double-cylinder deadbolt lock on a French door. Also, I would consider surface bolts at the top and bottom. You can see here they've got an application here where they've got a bolt that goes into the floor. They're just inherently kind of vulnerable. That's why I think if you do have French doors, you really need to pay attention to the environment that door is in. Make sure that you don't have opportunities for concealment by that door. Make sure you do have adequate lighting outside that door. A French door in a backyard with a privacy fence, you know, boy, that's double trouble, right? Double hung windows, probably the most common type of window we have. Again, we've gone through the doors, now we're talking about windows, ground floor windows where people break in. Typically, when someone tries to break into a home through a window, what they're going to do is break the glass and reach in again and unlock it. Double hung windows, you know, you're familiar. You've got the clamshell type lock where the two sashes come together, which locks the two sashes together. Typically, someone will break the glass, reach in and unlock that and raise the lower sash. Or else they'll take a pry tool, a crowbar or something like that, and force it up between where the two sashes meet and jimmy it back and forth until the lock fails, and they'll open the window. We don't see a lot of window entry whereby the burglar breaks all the glass out of the lower sash and then crawls through a closed lower sash. It takes more time and makes more noise. Also, you invariably have a hole surrounded by jagged, sharp glass that, you know, he doesn't want to cut himself on. So when they go through a window, again, their objective when they try to break in a window is to find some way to get that window open, and then open the window and come on in. One of the, again, very inexpensive things that you can do to secure your windows from that is a technique called pinning the window. This is basically, this is a cross section of where the lower sash and the upper sash come together. What you do is you drill a hole through the top of the lower sash into the bottom of the upper sash and insert something like a nail in that hole. So it's kind of a loose fit so you can take it out. And what that does is locks the two sashes together, so even if they defeat the clamshell that has them locked together, they still can't raise that lower sash. We suggest this for a couple of reasons. One, it's very inexpensive and easy to do. And it's also fairly effective. There are, of course, other things that you can get, other types of auxiliary locks and things like that that you can get that accomplish essentially the same thing. This is just a couple of examples of them here. This is called a flip lock. It goes on the upper sash and prevents you from raising the lower sash when it's engaged. This is the same sort of thing here. This little thing slides over and again prevents you from raising the lower sash more than, say, 6 inches. So these are all strategies, and again, inexpensive strategies for securing your double hung windows, making it less likely for someone to try to break in through those. An alternative to that is to use a filler strip, which is basically a stick, which wedges in between the top of the bottom sash and the top of the window casing. You know, just stick it in there and it just wedges it shut. And again, very simple things that you can do to make those a little more secure. Casement windows are a different story. These are commonly used in basement egress windows, okay? But they're also used in other applications. If they are closed and locked, they're fairly secure. They're hard to break open. We suggest that if you can, you remove the handle. Some of them have handles that come off very easily. Just whenever the window's closed and locked, you remove the handle. Again, in order to get this thing open, you know, someone's going to have to break the glass, reach in, and try to turn that crank. And the geometry of that, as the window gets farther and farther open, becomes rather problematic. So again, if they're locked, they're fairly secure a type of window to have. Basement windows, we don't see a lot of entry through basement windows, but we do see some, okay? You can put bars on your basement windows. You can take out your windows and put in glass block windows. Those are strategies that are very effective. Of course, if you've got sleeping quarters in your basement, you got a bedroom in your basement, then code demands that you have an egress window in that room as well. So, you know, certain building codes and fire safety codes will affect what you can do with your basement. But if it's, you know, if it's a basement and you just got, you know, laundry and furnace and water heater down there, you know, bars on those windows can be very effective, or replacing them with glass block. There are very inexpensive and easy ways of creating basement window bars that you can use some galvanized pipe and some 2x4s, which are very easy to do as well. So you want to take a look at your basement windows. Okay. How's everybody doing? We're all awake? Okay. Locks are obviously important. I want to talk a little bit about locks here. Any lock can be defeated, right? You know, given the will and the time and the energy, any lock can be defeated. The concept with this slide here is to think of a lock as something that's going to slow them down. It ain't necessarily going to keep them out, but it's going to slow them down. The more time he takes and the more noise he makes trying to defeat that lock, you know, again, the greater the chances are he's going to give up and go somewhere else. So good locks, really what they do is they slow someone down. There are lots of different kinds of locks, and you want to make sure you use the right kind of lock in the right application, obviously. You know, privacy lock, residential bathroom doors, that's not adequate for your front door, okay? You know, what we generally suggest and recommend for exterior doors, applications, front door, back door, is a deadbolt lock, okay? That's really the kind of the gold standard in terms of residential exterior door locks, is a deadbolt lock. Not all deadbolts are created equal. This here says should be at least a 1-inch throw on the bolt. I'll talk about that a little bit more in a minute. This is an example of a deadbolt lock right here, okay? This is the throw, this is the bolt, and when we talk about a 1-inch throw, we're talking about the distance that this bolt extends from the edge of the door and engages into the strike plate over here. Good quality lock is going to have at least a 1-inch throw. This makes it less vulnerable to being pried open, okay? If you don't have an adequate throw and you don't have enough of the bolt engaged in the strike plate, then a burglar with a crowbar can get in there sometimes and wiggle it back and forth. And they only have to move it a little bit to disengage that bolt from the strike plate, and they can get the door open. So at least a 1-inch throw is really important. Other things to look for, you know, is a case-hardened, case-hardened shield around the lock itself. There are really two grades of deadbolt lock. There's kind of a standard grade, and then there's a high security grade. In terms of the different types of ways that burglars can attack these things, in our area, most of the standard grade locks are going to be, going to be adequate. The high security types of locks, Medico is one brand of high security lock. They're great locks, but they're more resistant to certain types of attacks that we don't see here. Drilling out the keyhole, taking a power drill and drilling out the keyhole on the lock is something that you see more on the East Coast. I think you see it on the West Coast. You don't see it happening very much here. Medicos and the higher security types of locks are more resistant to that type of attack. But in terms of the other types of attacks, they're all fairly adequate in that regard. Here we have a deadbolt lock. Looks like a double cylinder deadbolt lock because this is the inside of the door and there's a key there. So this would be a double cylinder deadbolt lock requiring a key on either side. This is the bolt, again a 1-inch throw on the bolt. In this photograph it might be a little hard to see. This is actually the door jamb right here. Okay, and you can see that the bolt extends, there's not a lot of play here and the bolt goes an inch into the door jamb, which is good, which is what you want to see. This little cutaway here, this shows a high security strike plate with a 3-inch screw. Again, a standard strike plate, the screw is going to be 1.5 inches long. It's only going to engage pretty much the trim on the door jamb, maybe a little bit of this 2x4. A 3-inch screw is going to go all the way into this 2x4 like this, and you can see that that's going to be much more secure. Here we have a couple of different types of locks. This is kind of your standard single cylinder deadbolt lock. The outside, you need to have a key. On the inside, you've got a thumb latch, okay? Double cylinder deadbolt lock, you require a key on either side, all right? Now, again, when we're talking about applications where we've got a window in the door or glass within, 36 or 40 inches of the door, if you don't do something to reinforce that glass or put bars on it or something like that, then a double cylinder deadbolt lock is important. Because again, they'll just break the glass in the window and reach in and turn the thumb latch here, and they're off to the races. Now, the thing about double cylinder deadbolt locks is they can pose a fire safety hazard. Every now and then you hear this horrible story about some poor soul who was trapped in her house because she had double cylinder deadbolt locks in all the doors and the house was on fire and she couldn't find a key, right? It happens very infrequently. It doesn't happen very often, but of course the consequences, if it does happen, are horrific. If you have kids in the household, again, key control is more difficult if you got kids in the house. Now, in my own house, I've got a double cylinder deadbolt lock on the kitchen door because we've got this great big window in our kitchen door. So we've got a double cylinder deadbolt lock there. We also have a refrigerator right by the back door, and there's a refrigerator magnet with a key on it. Okay, and that's where it is, and it always stays right there. So we always know where the key is for the back door. So if there is a fire, boom, there it is, we're out. If you're going to use a double cylinder deadbolt lock, I would strongly recommend that you designate a spot where there's always a key, all right, and always keep a key there. And everybody in the household knows where that is. Now again, if you got kids, that's going to make it a little bit more difficult because the kid's going to take the key and, leave it in his pocket or something like that. Not that I'm denigrating children, I love them. But anyway, that's kind of the deal with those. So double cylinder deadbolt locks, if you got a window in your door, are very important. Now the other thing about locks, if you've got a limited budget and you're looking at where you want to spend your money, I think spending your money on good quality locks is probably a good place to invest some money. Because really, you want something that if it does try to kick open the door, it is going to hold up to being kicked open. So a good quality deadbolt lock, I think, is probably a good investment for your money. And really, anything less than a good quality deadbolt lock is really just Mickey Mouse security. Interior controls. Just going to talk about a couple of things here. Safes are important. If you've got a lot of valuables in your house, a good safe is important. It should be, extremely heavy so somebody can't carry it off, or it should be bolted to the floor or secured in some way so that someone can't just pick it up and walk out with it. One thing I will say about safes, and this is something that I think is really important, if you have firearms in your house, if you've got a handgun, if you've got hunting rifles, if you've got a shotgun, whatever, any kind of firearms in your house, please, please, please get a gun safe. Keep your guns stored in a gun safe. A lot of the guns that get used by criminals in crimes are stolen from legitimate owners in burglaries, okay? Whenever I read a police report about a burglary where one of the items stolen was a gun, especially a handgun, I know that that gun's going to get sold. He's not going to use that for target practice, okay? He's going to use that to rob a liquor store. He's going to sell it to somebody who's going to rob a liquor store or shoot a kid or shoot a police officer, do something horrible with that weapon, okay? So I really strongly think that if you got firearms in your house, you really need to keep them stored in a good gun safe. Inventorying your items, this is something that's often overlooked and it's really important. Take a look at your valuables and keep an inventory of what you have. For things with serial numbers, and this is really important, keep a record of all the serial numbers on your stuff. And this would be TVs and home electronics, power tools, anything at all that's got a serial number. Maintain a record of the serial numbers on all your items. First of all, it'll help you get your stuff back if it's ever recovered. We do recover a fair amount of stuff. We recover a lot of stuff in burglaries, from burglaries. But the amount of stuff that we recover versus the amount of stuff that the owner gets back is really different, because it's very difficult if you don't have a serial number or some unique identifier that you can prove to prove that that's your item. You know, we can't just give somebody a 52-inch TV out of our evidence room because they say it's theirs, right? They got to be able to show us that it's theirs before we'll give it back to them. So maintaining a record of your serial numbers is very important if you ever want to get your stuff back. Another reason why it's important is it can help us in terms of investigations and prosecutions. A lot of the stuff that gets stolen gets sold to pawn shops. And we have an electronic database. The police department's hooked up to all the pawn shops in the state through an electronic database called the automatic pawn system. And basically that contains the serial numbers of everything that gets pawned. So if somebody breaks into your house and steals your TV set and goes and pawns it, that serial number is going to get recorded in that database. And our investigators can check that database. So again, the chances of you recovering your property are much higher. And also, now we know that this guy sold your stuff, right? So now we can start building a case against whoever sold your stuff. Interior controls includes things like alarm systems. People here have home burglar alarms at home? Yes? Okay. I got one. Pardon me?
I have sons.
You have sons. Okay. Dogs are good too. I like dogs. I've got both. I've got an alarm system and a dog, so I'm double covered. Here's the deal about burglar alarms. Actually, the technology and the things that are available are changing pretty quickly now. You really want to kind of, if you're thinking about getting one, and it might make sense for you to get one, do your homework and figure out what's out there. Basically, there are three. You can think of all monitored security home burglar alarms as consisting of three main components. The sensors, which detect the intruder, and again, these are going to be things like the door contacts, motion sensors, glass break sensors, which is an acoustic sensor, which detects the sound of breaking glass. Those are probably the most common types of sensors that come with most burglar alarm packages. The control unit, which is sort of the control panel where you turn it on and off, and you can set it up to do different functions. And the annunciator, which is a fancy word for the speaker, which blasts that local alarm in your house that makes everybody deaf and is really annoying. Again, the most common points for sensing devices are doors, windows, fences, vents, and skylights. One thing that we're seeing, we've been seeing for a while now, and I imagine we're going to continue to see it, is the theft of copper from central air conditioners. Okay, if you've got a central air conditioning unit, people have been going out in the dead of night and dismantling the air conditioner and stealing the copper out of it. Okay. Yeah, I know. One thing that I would suggest, if you do, that's kind of hard to protect because it's outside, it's not inside your house, right? One of the things that you can do, that some people do, is they'll put a cage around that. And if you have a monitored alarm system, you can actually put a tamper sensor or a contact sensor rated for exterior use on that cage. So if somebody opens up the cage, it'd be just like they opened your back door in terms of your burglar alarm. It's going to cost you some money. It's not inexpensive. But a couple of things to consider about burglar alarms is this. First of all, probably 99% of residential burglar alarms that 911 gets are false alarms. Okay. The cat set off the motion sensor. The brother-in-law forgot the code when he came over to check on the house. Whatever it is. 99% of them are false alarms. Now, whenever a residential burglar alarm goes off, in terms of 911, that's a priority one call, high priority call. Okay. But even it being a high priority call, there are high priority calls and there are high priority calls, okay? If your priority one residential burglar alarm call is competing with an assault in progress call, that assault in progress call is probably going to take precedence over your residential burglar alarm, okay? So understand that there can be some delays in that. And again, with a monitored system, typically what happens is, you know, the sensor gets tripped, the door gets opened, the window gets broken, whatever. The sensor gets tripped, the signal goes to the monitoring station. The first thing the monitoring station does is calls your house, right? To see if you're home, see if you're the one who accidentally set it off. If they don't get any answer there, then typically they'll call your backup number, you know, your office or your cell phone or whatever. If they don't get any answer there, then they'll call the police, okay? So they make 1 or 2 phone calls before they even call 911. So there's some built-in delay in that. And the burglars know that and they understand that. On the other hand, and this is something that again, if you want to invest the money in a home alarm system, I would suggest that you think about getting video monitoring, because video monitoring is starting to become more common in home burglar alarms. And if you know, say you've got it set up so that the alarm goes off and your cell phone, you know, your smartphone rings, or your computer at work, you know, gives you a signal that something happened. You call up that picture and you can see the guy in the striped shirt, you know, crawling through your window. You know it's not a false alarm. So, you know, you can tell 911, or the monitoring station can tell 911, yeah, this is real. This isn't a false alarm. This is real. Burglar alarms, I think even if, you know, somebody does break, you got a burglar alarm, somebody does break in, it can limit your loss. Instead of the burglar spending half an hour ransacking your house, looking where you got stuff stashed, all that sort of thing, he's just going to grab what he can and go, because he knows that the clock is ticking. So I think from that standpoint alone, having a burglar alarm is useful, can be useful. I also think that having an alarm system is a deterrent in and of itself. I've really talked about this a whole lot directly, but you know, burglars, they go through kind of an evaluation process. You know, when they're looking for you know, they're assessing that opportunity. There's something of an evaluation process that goes on. All things being equal, they're going to break into the house that they think is easier. They're going to break into the house that they think is safer for them to break into. And if you've got the Brinks or the, you know, Protection 1 or the whatever sign in your front yard, you know, the burglar's walking down the street, casing the neighborhood, looking for a target, and he sees your house with the burglar alarm sign in the front yard, and he sees your neighbor's house without the burglar alarm sign in the front yard. All things being equal, he's probably going to be more likely to break into your neighbor's house. It's one less thing for him to deal with. And I'm sure that there are burglars, when they're casing neighborhoods and they see that sign and they think, no, I'm not going to mess with that one, I'll mess with this one over here. I'm sure it happens. That being said, you know, obviously people with alarm systems do get broken into. It's not a 100% thing. But I think it can provide a deterrent in a lot of different cases. Okay. Any questions about that? One other thing I want to say about burglar alarms and false alarms in particular, the city of Minneapolis obviously wants to reduce the number of false alarms that the police have to respond to. There is a fine structure in place that can be assessed. And the way it works is this. First, the good news is that this resets every year. Okay, it's based on the calendar year. But your first false alarm in a calendar year, you get charged a $35 registration fee. And you get added to the list. There's this list, right, you know, of people with false alarms. And so they charge you $35. That's your registration fee to go on the list. Yeah, they call it a registration fee. I don't know. Your second false alarm is $100. And your third false alarm is $200. And it kind of goes up.
You don't even get one free one anymore.
You don't even get one free one. Nope. First one, $35. Okay. Now again, the good news is that resets every year. Okay, so January 1st, you're good to go. Also, if you get enough of them, they'll put a note in your 911 file for your address saying don't respond to residential burglar alarms at this address. You know, it's like you get like 5 or 6, they'll put that note in your 911 file. And they won't respond to a residential burglar alarm at your address anymore. One of the last things I want to talk about is going on vacation, okay? You know, I said that burglars don't want to have anything to do with you. They want to go to your house when you're not there. Well, when you're not there, when you're on vacation, you're not there. So there's some things to think about when you go on vacation. First of all, don't let your travel plans be widely known, okay? I used to joke, it's funny, the things I used to joke about, I can't joke about them anymore because reality keeps catching up. I used to joke, don't put it on Facebook that you're going to the Bahamas for 2 weeks, all right? Don't do that. Well, now, you probably, I don't know if you've heard this, some of the airlines are working, and they have like working with Facebook if you're going to go somewhere, you can put it on Facebook and advertise for people to sit next to you on the airplane, right? Holland America Lines, which is a cruise line, they do a similar thing. They got a Facebook page so people who are going to be going on cruises together can hook up and stuff like that. My suggestion is don't do that. Just don't put it on Facebook, okay? You don't know who's going to see that. Oh, someone's out of town for 2 weeks. Have a trusted neighbor pick up the mail and newspaper. Again, burglars are going to look for signs that nobody's home. And a real sure giveaway is that pile of newspapers and flyers and things like that on the front step, okay? Have someone come and pick that stuff up, make sure that doesn't accumulate. Mow your lawn, have someone come over. If you're going to be gone for a long time, mow your lawn. If you're going somewhere in the winter, have someone come over, have an arrangement with a neighbor. If it snows, come over and shovel my walk, okay? Again, these are all giveaways that no one's home. One thing, it's inexpensive and easy to do is use automatic timers and lights on TVs and radios. You know, you get 2 or 3 light timers and put your lights on them so they come on and off at various times throughout the day while you're gone. Just gives the impression that someone may be there, you know, turning lights on. Again, the whole point here is to make your home look lived in, look occupied, not look empty. I like to don't leave a descriptive phone message saying you will be away for an extended period of time. This is sort of the Facebook idea. Hi, we're going to be out of town for 3 weeks. You know, don't do that. You can turn off the ringer to your phone. Make sure your garage door is secure. Cover garage windows. And you should do that anyway, whether you're out of town or not. One of the things that I look at when I do a home security survey, if you got a window in your garage, at least put curtains up so people can't just look in your window and see your bike and your lawnmower and your rototiller, you know, and whatever neat stuff you store in your garage. Don't give people ideas. You can call the 4th Precinct and tell us that you're going to be out of town for a while, and we'll keep that on file. If officers are available, they can drive by and make sure that things are okay.
I've done that before.
Yeah.
I did that before.
Yeah.
I told 4th Precinct I wanted to be out of town for a couple of days, whatever, let me go on vacation for a week or so. I'd tell them, let me gone for a week and drive by or just walk around and get on the house. That works.
Yeah. 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 We'll do that for you. Keep your blinds at normal positions. Remove any valuables from view near windows. Double check all windows and doors to make sure they are locked. Now, one of the things that on the flyer that advertised this, I said that I would share with you all, and there are not many guarantees in this world, but there is one, the 100% guaranteed way to prevent having your things stolen from your car. Theft from auto is a big problem, you know. We get people call us up and say, somebody stole the laptop out of my car, somebody stole my cell phone, they stole my purse. It was in my car, they stole it. The 100% guaranteed way to prevent having your things stolen from your car is don't leave your stuff in your car. Okay? Don't leave your stuff in your car. It's so simple, it's so easy. Is that, we say don't leave valuables in your car. I don't say that, I say don't leave stuff in your car, because you don't know what's going to be attractive to a burglar. A pair of mittens on a cold winter's day can be very attractive to a homeless person. If you keep your car locked, all right, you keep your car locked, if you got a garage door opener in your car, if you keep it hidden, you keep it in the glove compartment, you keep it in the center console, just so it's out of sight, okay, I think you're probably going to be okay. It's if you leave that garage door opener in plain view so somebody can see it, then yeah, they'll smash your window, take your garage door opener, open up your garage, take your lawnmower, whatever. And if your garage is attached to your house, then you've got an even bigger problem there, okay? But typically when someone's going to break into a car, one of a couple of different things. Either they're going to look for cars that are unlocked, and they're going to open up unlocked cars because they can do it quickly and quietly without making a lot of noise, right? They're not going to look that suspicious. They open it up and they'll rummage around in the glove compartment and then in the center console and whatever and look for stuff, okay? On the other hand, if your car is locked but you got something that somebody might want sitting on the back seat or sitting on the front seat or sitting on the dashboard, that's a temptation for them to take the next step and break the window, okay? So what I say is two things. One, don't leave stuff in plain view. Two, lock your car to prevent someone from going in and rummaging around in it. Just to recap some of the important stuff here. Again, the importance of locking doors and windows cannot be overstressed. 49% of garages and 34% of homes are burglarized without force. Someone left a window open, they left the door open, left something unlocked, burglar just walked right in, helped himself, and walked right out, okay? Prioritize your security. Things that I think are high priority that you should look at are, first of all, having good locks. And again, I go back to strike plates. That is so important to have adequate strike plates on all your exterior doors. Also, lighting and landscaping, providing or taking away opportunities for concealment for burglars is probably one of the most important things you can do as well. So look at your perimeter, look at your landscaping, look at your lighting. Make sure you're not giving somebody an opportunity to hide. Look at the locks on your doors and the strike plates on your door jambs. Make sure that they're strong and adequate. Active block clubs, again, I go back to that's how we catch burglars. Know your neighbors, have your neighbors know you. Don't hesitate to call 911 if you see something suspicious. And make sure that it's okay with you. Make sure that your neighbors understand it's okay with you if they call about somebody, poking around your house. Have that conversation with them. Say, look, if you see anybody, call 911. And again, record serial numbers on your items, because if you don't record them, you're not going to recover it. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is that.